Welcome to the Spellbreak GotSoL podcast. If you are enjoying the show, please feel free to leave a review on iTunes. You can follow the show on Twitter at SBGotSoLPod. You can send an email at sbgotsolpod@gmail.com. And if you feel like supporting the show further, you can leave a tip at twitch.tv/RayGotSoL. Thank you so much for listening and enjoy the show. You are now listening to the Spellbreak GotSoL podcast, where we highlight members of the Spellbreak community that are making a positive impact, dominating lobbyists, or simply got soul. Here we offer tips, talk about the current state of the game, and get behind-the-scenes access to some of your favorite breakers. Welcome, and enjoy the show. Welcome. This is Ep.6 of the Spellbreak GotSoL podcast. I am your host, Ray GotSoL. Well, today we have a legend in our midst, and I know he wouldn't like to be called that with his humble nature, but it's okay if I say it, not him. So, Colin P. He's got great taste, if you ask me, as long as he's not offering the toe of Satan. Streaming weekdays in the morning on Twitch, I'd like to welcome Flocci. So, what's up, man? How's it going?
Hey, things are going well, Ray. How are you today? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's really my pleasure, man. I know the first day that I really got an idea and a glimpse into the real Flocci was on your 3rd year anniversary for being sober, and I just I could just relate to so much that you were going through, and I just knew I really wanted to get a chat with you.
Sounds good. Yeah, that was quite a day, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, it was lit. It's nuts, man. But yeah, congratulations on that.
Thanks.
So how about we jump right into some Spellbreak talk, shall we?
Right on. Sounds good to me.
All right, great. So how'd you find out about Spellbreak?
Through a Discord channel that specifically is geared towards TV shows. And somebody happened to bring it up in the gaming section that was probably where I spent most of my time. And I said, well, I'll check this out. I'll give it a whirl. I'll see what's going on. And pretty much been here ever since. It was highly unexpected. Most of the games that people talked about in there were not really games that I would normally play, but I figured, Spellbreak, I'll check this out. It just sounds cool. It looked different. The picture kind of sucked me in.
It sounded like a chance of fate, huh? Just like in a TV section, just out of nowhere, somebody just Well, it changes the direction of your gaming career, kind of, huh? Because I know you play a lot of Spellbreak.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so describe a little bit of early experiences with the game.
As much as I loved it, I hated it at the same time because I got whooped on I still get whooped on, don't get me wrong. But at least now it takes them longer to get me.
Yeah.
I thought it was super awesome. It was not super confusing at first. But I went in and I tried to pay attention to, here's all the items. Here's how these things will interact. I tried to have as many conversations as I possibly could with people so I could get a better idea of, well, hey, how do you play? And what kind of games did you play? Okay, so you're a shooter type person. I'm going to take information from them. This person was more into classes or MOBAs or whatever. I'm going to get a little bit of information from them. And I tried to combine all that. And after a couple weeks or so, it kind of started to click. And I tried so hard to not be a one-trick pony right off the bat, but it was so difficult. And here I am now, how many months down the road, and I'm still playing Bulwark every day.
Yeah, and you're really big on Toxic, aren't you? Because I think that's one of the first things people told me about you is you're like Toxic King or something.
I do. I love the Toxic Gauntlet. And then with the changes that we had, a few patches back, it just made it even more fun and even better. But I definitely do. I definitely do like the Toxic Gauntlet.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about when things started to turn around for you in game-wise.
I think what happened was I started playing with people that were beating me down all the time instead of against them. People like Vandal, for instance.
Yeah, he's a nut, dude.
Rusty, for another example.
Oh yeah.
And I would just try to learn from them and listen to them as they were discussing, well, I'm doing this, or this is why I'm doing that. And I thought back to other games where I tried to teach somebody, right? And they had no idea what was going on, or they had very little ideas what was going on. So I would say towards I would have to say towards the middle to the end of December is when I think things started to turn around for me. But it wasn't until closer to mid-January, end of January, when I felt, okay, I'm pretty comfortable. I'm a lot more confident. I think I have a way better understanding now. Let's go do some duos. Let's have some more, or let's go do some solos. Let's have some more fun. And I started getting some wins and, you know, having more fun.
Right. So I was really surprised when I found this out about Merlin, but it took him a week. That was discussed in the last podcast. How long did it take you to get your first win?
My very first win was
Yeah.
on complete accident. That person died to the zone.
Oh my gosh.
I had one exile.
What was that?
So that was I had one exile. The person died of the zone. It was about a week and a half in.
Oh my god. You're probably like, well, I'll take it.
Yep. A win is a win to me.
Yeah, you were due. That's good. That's a really great story, as a matter of fact. I'm glad I asked.
However,
yeah.
it took at least a month to get another one.
Wow. So what got you over the hump, do you think?
Oh, what got me over the hump? That's a good question, and it's weird because for me personally, I go through stages, and I know we all have this happen where, 1 or 2 days we're just unstoppable, and then for 3 or 4 days, we can't land a shot. We can't, just the RNG isn't with you, or the other people are just 1,000 times better than you.
Right.
So getting over the hump, I think for me, mostly it was kind of just getting an understanding for, okay, as long as I am better than this good, like my hand is right above, like chest level. If I'm this good or better, I'm happy. And once I kind of hit like that part or that level, all right, I feel good. I'm comfortable. I can evade a little bit better. I'm landing more shots. I'm making these things work. And just understanding the game more and how other people are playing more. I think that is really what put me over. And I would have to say, that was probably around the end of January, leading up to pre-NDA or right up to around NDA in February. Just all the hype and all the excitement, and it was getting me hyped and it was getting me excited. And I think that really helped out, push me over as well too.
So can you describe your playstyle a little bit?
My playstyle? So I'm not super aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
Generally speaking, I'm not super aggressive. However, I do find myself going out of my way for exiles or chasing someone down.
Yeah.
Or, and then I look and I'm like, where's my teammates? Where if I'm playing squads or whatever, where's my teammates? Oh, they're in Halcyon and I'm down in freaking Bogmore.
Yeah, and it's so easy to do that on this game because battles last so long and yeah.
Right. There's never it seems like there's never any medium-sized battles. It's either, okay, this is the quickest thing, you got 2-shot, or it's a freaking epic Game of Thrones battle that lasts, and I just had one of those too where it had to have taken 5 minutes. It seemed like an hour, right?
Yeah.
So I try to play smart. I try to play somewhat passively, but at the same time, I do find myself going after and just, all right, I've got it. He's one shot. There's no way they can heal, right? And then boom. So overall, I would have to say my play style is just fun. I change my builds up quite often. I change how I play. You know how you have some players, and I can't think of anybody off. Well, I can. You have certain players that they play one thing, and that's pretty much it. And when you see them, oh, that's so and so, or that's so and so, and you know that you're going to get certain items from them. You're going to get certain gauntlets out of them. But with me, I try to make it so that people don't know. I change the avatar or the skin that I wear. I change the gauntlets that I use. I change the classes that I use. So I try to be a little bit rogue in a way where it's like, well, they don't know it's me. And I've found it's good too because it keeps things interesting for you as a player. You're constantly, okay, well, if I use this, this works better with that, and then you continue to learn about the classes, and just once again, we're testers. We're testing things out, and that's a big thing too.
Yeah.
Is how we are able to provide feedback on things, and especially I think not to get too much into newer players, but I think a lot of newer players should do something similar as well, just so that they are more aware of, well, okay, I've got 12 classes and I don't know anything about them. We'll play them. Then this next time you'll be able to understand, and this helps me too, obviously. Next time I'll be able to understand better why I lost that fight, not just because they had better gauntlets, not just because I missed a couple of shots, but well, they were kitted out with their class better than I was.
Yeah, and I mean, I definitely love that point about being testers, because I think a lot of new people like get into this mindset like, oh, this game is this and that, and this needs to be worked on. Well, remember, this is an alpha game. This is an alpha, right? Closed alpha, and we're testers. Like, this game has come so far in the last couple months that I've been here, and I'm sure it's come even like what's a good adjective, just so much more farther from where you came from. So I just wanted to kind of touch on that because I know it's easy for some people to get a little upset, but just if you're new and you're hearing this for the first time, just remember this game, we're alpha testers and the game's new. So just had to,
for sure.
I had to say
for
that.
Sure.
I know you mentioned that like on a tweet that I saw too. So yeah. Well, we're going to transition into our next segment, which is tips for beginners. Can you talk or give us maybe a best class for beginners and why, in your opinion?
So I tell everybody to play Bulwark, and
Yeah.
I know a lot of people have. I mean, everybody has an opinion about this class or that class, but I honestly think Bulwark is great for everybody, for whether you're just starting out. Or you're kind of in between, kind of like I was in December and January, or if you are super experienced and have been playing as long or longer than me, or have been playing shorter than me, but just get the game quicker. I mean, I honestly think the Bulwark is a really, really strong class.
Right.
And especially with the passive alone makes that class incredible. You don't have to worry about putting armor on all the time.
Right.
Oh, you only found one armor shard? You're okay. You're okay until the next time you need one. So, in the how strong it can be, even if you just get a point in transference alone, it just makes it incredibly strong. But I tell everybody and anybody that you should definitely start out with at least Bulwark. Now I know right now you absolutely have to with the only Bulwark and Scavenger for new folks until they unlock them.
Right.
But I mean, yes, I hear people say, well, Bulwark is a crutch. Okay, yes, you're not wrong. I do not disagree that. But I definitely think it really helps out a lot for pretty much anybody. If you want any kind of sustainability or, just even slightly better chance at sticking around into a fight a little bit longer.
Yeah, Bulwark is, lots of people recommend Bulwark. And listen, guys, Bulwark, that's a great place to start. Do you have a secondary class that you could pair with that, or just pretty much anything, right?
Well, so on days where I really want to, I don't try hard too often because I don't see myself like at that level. But if I really want to quote unquote try hard, I'll go Bulwark Pyro,
Yeah.
or I'll go Bulwark Toxicologist, or even Bulwark Crackshot, just for the extra damage, or my goodness, Stone Shaper. How can I forget about Stone Shaper?
Wow.
Because of Sunder, 20% armor damage. How can you pass that up?
Yeah.
So I know I mentioned 4 of them.
Yeah, I know. It's like, whoa. Can you narrow that down to maybe? But that's good. You're very versatile. You're like, would you consider yourself like a jack of like all trades?
Yes, absolutely. Minus Conduit. I don't recommend anybody play Conduit, but that's a whole nother
yeah.
story. But yeah, I would. I would definitely say jack of all trades, master of none, jack of all trades.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bulwark, and if I could only pick one other class for the rest of my entire Spellbreak career, it would probably be Stone Shaper.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, there you go, guys. Bulwark and Stone Shaper, if you had to. So, can you describe what do you think the toughest gauntlet to play against is to you, and how do you counter it?
The absolute toughest. So I'm gonna say there's 2, and there's reasons why. The first one I'm gonna say is the Frost Gauntlet. it's the only one that has any sort of zoom, right? It's the only one that people can get you from a distance where you can't quite see them. And I'm not saying that you can't see them because of your graphics or because you have poor eyesight or fog or anything like that. It's just you don't have the opportunity to zoom in whatsoever with anything else. So unless you have like whatever, it's going to be difficult to play against. And especially if somebody has boots or invisibility of any sort or cloaking of any sort whatsoever.
Yeah, like Shadow Step. That meta has been running rampant recently. It's just like Shadow Step, Frost, and you get into the air and you have these snipes down. It's really tough to play against.
Yep, for sure. I mean, you absolutely always have to be on your toes because you just never know. And that is just something else I could mention quickly is paying attention to the kill feed to see what people have, but that's something else for later. But the other I would have to, and I cannot not bring this up, is Lightning Gauntlet. It's the most frustrating to play against for too many reasons, but unlike Ice and other gauntlets, you at least there's no counters really to it because you can't stop it with wind, you can't stop it with a fireball, you can't stop it with the stone shockwave. You can't throw toxic at it. Nothing stops it. It's just zap 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 and that's it.
I know some people have mentioned like maybe doing like changing the boulder throw into a boulder wall, like if you had something like that where it would block it or something. But something I've been experimenting with is like teleporting right next to them and maybe toxic slapping them. I'm still experimenting with it. I'm trying to find something to use that rune for. But I mean, I definitely understand where you're coming from with like lightning. But back to Frost, how would you counter like a great Frost player? Because I feel like Frost players, like that is probably the best gauntlet to learn in my opinion and be good at.
For sure.
But how would you counter that?
How do I counter? Well, first, you'll find me with a stone gauntlet and a fire gauntlet.
Right.
So if I'm getting sniped at or I hear it remotely close to me, I'm throwing a firewall up behind me or somewhere around me, so I at least have a little bit of protection because the first shot won't go through it, right? So, and people ask me that a lot is, well, how do you actually use the firewall? Other than just throwing it out there. Well, that's one way is kind of protect yourself a little bit. And it doesn't work every time.
Such a good point.
It helps out. It definitely helps out. And the other is I'll be throwing boulders at you. And I try to time it. Like if you have in your head how long it's going to take, right? So someone jumps up, you see them, they're sniping at you. It's going to take a second before they get fully zoomed in. Let's just say a second and a half. I can't remember exactly.
Right.
If I can, and let's even give another half second for them to get completely zoomed in on you, or dialed in on you. So you have just under 2 seconds to react and throw that boulder if you have that boulder up. And I do it so many times, and generally that person would have either used their rune or their jump, like their legendary boots to get themselves to their third jump. So they don't really have a lot of movement other than falling down. So if you can get that boulder and time it and throw it at the right arc and things of that nature, you're going to maybe hit them and just kind of reverse the damage back to them. Obviously, you're not going to do as much damage as they could have to you, but if you land that shot, it definitely helps.
That's a good point because the boulder actually plows right through the frost and just keeps going. So the firewall and the boulder throw that's really good. It's pretty. Okay, so the firewall isn't exactly high skilled, but it's very applicable. But the boulder throw may be a little bit tougher. But thank you. That's great tips.
One of the best ways, though, if you don't mind me throwing this in here too, is
Please. And
I did mention I take toxic a lot.
Yeah.
Is use your toxic cloud as cover.
Oh.
Use your toxic cloud as cover. If you don't have a firewall ready, you don't have a boulder, but you have that toxic cloud and you're hearing that snipe come at you, just throw that toxic cloud behind you and then you have a couple seconds, because what are they going to do? They can't snipe you through a frozen toxic cloud.
Right.
You have some cover. You can either heal real fast or just reposition or anything, but using what you have on you in other ways, like I said, with the firewall or or the Toxic Cloud. They definitely are good ways to counter somebody like a sniper.
Yeah, those are some new ones that I haven't heard yet. So thanks for the tips. What do you think the strongest build in the game is right now?
The strongest build in the game is in like the perfect world, the top player, the best thing I personally think right now is a fully decked out Tempest crackshot player.
Yeah, with like Frost and Shadow Step, right?
Yep, invisibility of some sort
Yeah.
and a Frost Gauntlet.
Yeah.
They're any damage mods are absolutely they're gonna hurt.
Thank you
and
so
they do
much for
hurt.
not saying Lightning Conduit, because I didn't want to talk about Lightning Conduit again.
No, I don't want to go on to the Lightning Conduit thing.
Yeah, but I mean, we know, but yeah, I definitely agree. The Tempest Crackshot, I've actually been playing that too. But yeah, it's very lethal. Go ahead.
Right, what's really funny about Tempest is
Huh?
for all these months, there's only been a couple of people that have really tapped into it, and
Yeah,
nobody really talked about Tempest.
yeah,
Everybody would say Flesh to Stone, Bulwark, or Transference, or
DF, or
they would pick very specific skills in a class, but or very specific, Dragonfire. But nobody would talk about Tempest,
yeah.
and it blew my mind. Now I'm not very good with it, but I know that when I use it and I use it properly, it's insane the amount of damage that you can pump out.
Yeah, it's a very sneaky strong class, actually. You got Squall. I've been playing Tempest basically since I started playing the game, so I just thought the mobility was cool and it was king, you know what I mean? And I was tired of getting annihilated, so I thought, well, why not, improve my mobility? But it's got Squall, it's got Sudden Gusts, Slipstream's pretty good, and then you got the mobility passive, which is...
Just the passive alone. Just the passive alone, it will save you in so many ways.
Yeah, it really does. Because a lot of times if someone's like pushing you with the Toxic Slap, you can just get right into the air, and if you have Toxic or Flame, you can just throw it down and get that combo attack going. It's very strong. But you know what? One thing I don't hear much people talking about, like I think a lot of people know, like understand and kind of realize that that the Tempest class is really strong, but I don't think anyone really feels like it's overpowered, though. What do you think about that?
They don't know. They don't know. There's some people that I play with occasionally, and they go Tempest in anything, and it doesn't matter, and they're exiling people left and right, and it's such a sleeper. People don't know about it.
Yeah, I mean, you hit it right on the head. It's definitely a sleeper pick. The class is very sneaky strong, and it's just really useful in engagements. But
you can think of other classes like Pyro. What's really annoying if they get Ignite, or Toxicologist. It's really annoying if they hit you and they're doing tick damage.
Yeah,
it's not. There's no annoying whenever somebody is up in the air and you don't have anything to hit them with.
Yeah,
and they've got an Ice Gauntlet or a Frost Gauntlet or something, or boulders that drop down on you, and they're just pummeling you. It's like, that's not annoying. That's like powerful.
Yeah.
So
I know it's very strong against builds without ice. Yeah. What do you think best build in your opinion is right now?
Best build, not just the strongest build?
Yeah.
Oh my.
That might be a little bit redundant, but
no, absolutely not. I think that those two are not exactly one and the same. They can be for a lot of people, but not necessarily.
Yeah.
If you're like best build, I absolutely have to go with with Bulwark Stone Shaper, man. I have to go with Bulwark Stone Shaper. The sustainability and the power, how powerful Flesh to Stone can be.
Yeah.
And if you have Sunder, like or with Sunder, the passive, it's insane. I look at, and I'll touch on this later, but if you look at just the passives of different classes, right? And that's how when I decide what I'm going to play or what I'm going to do that particular round or match or whatever. I'm like, okay, well, let's just assume I don't get any points. I don't get any skill points. How solid are these classes on their own? And then I go from there.
Yeah.
So having Bulwark and Stone Shaper, you're regenerating armor all the time if you have any, and then you're shredding armor, which is, a big thing.
Yeah.
Those two are really strong. And then just you almost can't go wrong with either class, like any point that you get. Now, one could argue Inner Peace isn't that good, or Rock Slide's not that good, or whatever. But overall, they're really not that bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a great place to start if you're new to the game. And
they're not super complicated.
Yeah, it's not super complicated, but you'll definitely get a lot of exiles this way, I feel, and in my experience. But typically the build has a little bit of trouble with Tempest, and normally the better players in the game play Tempest or know how to respond. But you'll definitely do very well as a great place to start, like a starting point, I think.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. How would you normally play that? Like which rune or?
If I'm playing Bulwark and Stone Shaper, you're definitely gonna find me with a rock or a stone or a I don't know why I can never, not to get sidetracked, but I don't know if anybody else does that too. I mean, I know I hear it from time to time, but rock instead of stone or ice instead of frost, it just comes out.
Well, you let them know about it, Flocci. Yeah.
It's all right. It's all right too. You're gonna find me with a wind gauntlet, absolutely, on my left hand, and a stone gauntlet on my right, and I will more than likely have a fire gauntlet on me as well.
Right.
Just to switch out. I want to always have my stone. I always want to have that boulder ready. I would generally find either. I know this is gonna sound crazy, but you might find me with a Featherfall rune.
Oh, wow.
I've always loved it. I've absolutely always loved it. Because you can get yourself down. People don't
with the
remember
stone.
or realize. Yep, you can get yourself down. And it makes for good jukes. It makes for really good jukes.
It's a very versatile build. That's like you can play Chariot with that build. You can play the double DB or just boulder throw in the air with the Featherfall, and then you always got the ground game, and then the Wind Gauntlet's good for like short to mid range with the chain gun like effect. So. Wow, that's a really nice build you described. I can see a lot of uses for that. It's very versatile.
Yeah, and it's fun. And it's fun, too.
Mm-hmm. So what's your...
Speaking of...
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Speaking of fun builds, I'm just going to get this out there. The double boulder build is my absolute
it is
most
so fun.
favorite and fun build to play.
Isn't it so fun to meme around with that?
Yes. And then to get wins out of it is... Okay, so the first time, you do it, you're like, I feel really bad. I just dunked on like 5 people. and then you get, like I had yesterday or recently, I had final circle and there's like 2 guys left. I have 10 health. There's no way that I'm going to win this. I drop into finals. I drop out of the circle and get right back in before I get fish slapped, right? And I dunk on these people and end up winning. Like, it's just how?
Yeah.
Because it's so fun. It is. I know it's frustrating for others when you're getting pummeled with like quad boulders or whatever.
Yeah, Amulet of the Scribe is so much more common now, so they're everywhere. Have you noticed that?
Oh, I have, except for when I really need one.
Yeah.
I can't find
Have you ever done the DB build with 3 people, like your whole team?
Yes.
Oh my god.
Yes.
If you get everything you need, like it is terrifying, dude. The one time we all got what we needed, we just ran through everybody. There were some pretty big names that were in the lobby when we did it, but it was so much fun. We were just laughing and giggling the whole time.
Oh yeah. If the 3 of you pair up, like in trios, the 3 of you pair up and just make a wall of falling boulders.
Yeah.
What do you even do?
You just see like freaking 10 boulders flying at one person. They just get instant immediately. It's so much fun. So yeah, if you're new at the game, that's definitely a great way to have a little bit of fun too. If you're not new to the game and you haven't heard of the DB build by any chance, that's some good Spellbreak fun. Good old fashioned Spellbreak fun.
Nothing wrong with changing it up once in a while.
Yeah. It's good. It's just BR, you know what I mean? It's you hang out with the friends and have a good time. It's like
exactly.
Yeah. So what are 3 tips you'd give to someone who's playing the game for the very first time?
Well, for the very first time, I would say I know it might seem like a pain in the butt to go to the practice mode, and read up on the items, uh, check out the classes, mess around with the gauntlets and the interactions, because that little bit of time, let's say 30 minutes, let's say you take 30 minutes and you go into the practice area and you mess around with different items. That 30 minutes of learning turns into almost an hour sometimes, and it saves you so much hassle in the long run when you go into matches. So number one is learn your items, learn your gauntlets, and learn your classes. Even if you only learn a couple of classes, just pick 4 of them. Oh, well, you like the Frost Gauntlet and you like the Fire Gauntlet and you like the Stone Gauntlet. Okay, learn Stone Shaper, learn Frostborn, learn Pyro, and Bulwark. There you go. That's 4. Just pick them, get used to them, and then slowly branch yourself out. There's no need to get completely overwhelmed with everything in the game right off the bat, because obviously that can turn people away.
Right.
So spend that little bit of time and investment in the beginning, and it'll pay off more than you realize in the end.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. The second thing is, and I know this is difficult for a lot of people that play, not just Spellbreak, but games in general, is to not get super frustrated and rage all that much, because it really clouds your judgment.
That's true.
Number one, it clouds your judgment and makes you play worse, and you start to blame the game or other players instead of reflecting on yourself and learning, well, okay, I see why, or I should have done this, or I could have done that. Instead, it's, well, this person had that, or they did this, or the game should do this. The tools are all there for you. Just got to use them.
Right.
And lastly, I was bringing up earlier, kill feed or the exile feed. I know that people swap out gauntlets. I get that. You might find somebody taking somebody out with stone right off the bat. Well, that was a drop, and maybe they're not playing stone. But at least you have an idea of, okay, well, this person exists. You see that name, and you know that they have a certain gauntlet and that they did well with it. Well, be on the lookout. Okay, so now maybe I know that person's playing stone. I need to have something that's going to keep me in the air more. I'm going to carry a wind gauntlet, or I'm going to carry a spring step, or I'm going to carry a featherfall, instead of, well, I'm going to take dash, or I'm going to take wolf's blood, something of that nature. Pay attention to the exile feed, because it gives you more information than you think.
See, and when you mentioned that earlier, like, you kind of blew me away, because I never look at the kill feed, and I had no idea that it tells you what gauntlet they got eliminated with. I never look at it.
Yes.
I just look and see my name. I eliminated someone, or I look at it to see who's in the game. But that's a really good tip. I'm actually going to start doing that. Yeah. Go ahead.
I have one bonus tip. When you exile somebody, whether it's the first time you exile somebody or you've done it 100 times over, you need to be aware of your surroundings at all times, whether you're in a castle or now we have villages, which are awesome, or in a village or in a house or out in the middle of a field. You absolutely need to be paying attention. You just made a lot of noise, whether you threw fireballs or you threw boulders, or you're smashing the ground making shockwaves. You made a lot of noise. It sounded like the 4th of July, all the way halfway across the map. People know that, okay, you're either weak or you're low, or you're going to be looting. So when you get that exile and you know that, oh, that person had a behemoth amulet, or that person had the boots I want, don't go running right over there and pick that up unless you can spot it and pick it up and keep moving. Because as soon as you stop moving and as soon as you start paying more attention to the gear that's on the ground, here comes a sniper from, who knows where, or here comes a dragonfire that you're not quite ready for, and you're gone. That awesome exile that you just had, while it might be clip worthy or whatever, your game just ended because you stood there.
Yeah, and that's such a really good BR friendly tip in general too.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Very versatile. Well, we're going to transition into our next segment, getting to know Flocci. So, can you tell me a little bit about yourself as a gamer? What was your first system, and which games did you grind over the years?
Okay, so for those that do know, I'm a little bit older. I'm 38 years old, and I started playing video games in the mid 80s. And I originally, from what I can remember, I started with an Atari, the 2600.
Wow. I thought
Yeah,
I started off with a Nintendo. We got an Atari gamer here.
yeah. I started off with an Atari.
That's
I was
dope, man.
loving it. I was
Yeah.
loving it, right? But we also had a Nintendo,
Okay.
and I played that more. Now, I did play games like Pitfall, which if you guys have never seen Pitfall on Atari, you go check a video out or find like a mod and play it. It's so simple and so frustrating and so difficult and fun all in one. And it was really one of the original games I remember that taught me a little bit of patience in games.
Right.
Um, and I think that carried me a long way throughout the decades. But Nintendo was where it really popped off, and I played a wide variety of games. I loved Legend of Zelda and Final Fantasy, but I also loved sports games, and I loved other strategy games and things like that. So, we didn't really have shooters. I mean, we had Duck Hunt, if you want to consider that a shooter, right?
Yeah. Well,
Which was
technically it
fun.
was, I guess.
Yeah, right. It was the original shooter, I
Yeah.
guess. Uh,
You did
but I
shoot.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I loved all different games.
Yeah.
It was a good, well, it's raining out. Okay, homework's done. I'm gonna play this. Or, well, my friends are on vacation. Okay, my neighbor's on vacation. I'm not playing hockey today. I'm gonna go play, you know, 8 hours of Final Fantasy 2 or something, or Final Fantasy 1 or whatever.
Nice.
So, I played a lot of those. But then as things changed and systems got different, we had the Master System, and then PlayStation and whatnot came out, and things just started to evolve. Like for some reason, I got more into sports games, and I don't know why. I think it was just, I think it was filling a void of me actually playing sports. I had an injury when I was younger, so I wasn't able to play sports as much.
Right.
So I think that might be why. Now that I actually look back and think about it, is I played baseball, I played American soccer, American football a little bit, and hockey. And I ended up finding myself playing those games more than I played anything else
Wow.
until 1994, 95 or so. We'll just say 1996, because that's the biggest year for me, is when I started to play Quake. That's when
Quake.
gaming.
That was on the
absolutely-
Sega, right?
Quake on PC.
Oh, PC. Wow.
Yes. Quake was and still is, in my opinion, hands down the absolute number one best game ever. Everything about it just, I don't know, it just sucks me in. I can go back and play Quake anytime and never just be like, nope, this isn't what I want to do. It doesn't matter if I'm having a good day, a bad day. If I only have 20 minutes to play, I don't care. I can hop into Quake, the original Quake from 1996, and I will play, and just my entire world is perfect.
You know what? I think we all, like, as gamers, we all have that game. Because for me, it was Halo 2. That was my very first dive
Right.
into multiplayer. I wanted to ask, was Quake multiplayer on PC, or was it just campaign and just like...
Well, originally, so back then we had dial-up modems, right?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And ping and internet was super slow, and it was really difficult to kind of get online death matches going, right?
Right.
So all I did was I focused on, well, I did a lot of map building in Duke Nukem, okay?
Oh, okay.
Right before Quake. I did some map building. I played a lot of Wolf 3D or Wolfenstein. But so what we did was we played in high school. We would take over the computer lab or our architecture and engineering lab, and we would have LAN parties during study
Oh,
hall.
my gosh. That must have been such fun.
It was awesome. It was absolutely awesome. And we had a really, really good time. And then
Holy God.
it just happened one day, like, oh, the freaking 20 or the 14.4 modems, we had 56Ks now, and we could actually play online against other people around the country. And it was just mind blowing. The internet was new and fresh and hot, and wow, we can do this. And
Wow.
boy, did we suck. Like we thought we were good, These people were just absolutely monsters and destroying it.
Like, where have you guys been playing?
Right. So the original, like just playing the campaign mode or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Just playing through it. It wasn't bad. There was a lot of there's a lot of like hidden things and a lot of little quirks, little things that were just kind of like, man, this is so good. It doesn't matter. We'll play through it over and over, and we'll talk about it like at lunch. Oh man, did you find that thing on level 3, map 4, or whatever? And it was just, I don't know. They kept. It's all we talked about, and all we did was play. And then there was, we found out we could build our own maps and have our own like arenas and our own little death matches instead of the ones that came with the game or that we were finding on these different servers. So I started to help a buddy of mine design our own little rocket arenas, and we would do like rocket only mode, where you took no damage from your own rockets, and just it ended up becoming like this huge thing. And I could go on with Quake forever, but I won't. But that was my game. That it still is.
Wow.
And it ties into Spellbreak a lot because of how movement feels and how the community feels. The community that I bonded with and got together with in Quake is very similar to how I feel now, 20 some years later, with Proletariat and Spellbreak. So I think that's why Spellbreak, not only because it's different and fun and awesome, is because it takes me back to that time, and it feels really, really good.
Kind of nostalgic a little, huh?
Absolutely.
Oh, that's dope, man.
Ever since then, I've been on. I do try to play a lot of different games. I think I mentioned earlier. I'll play Civ or I'll play Final Fantasy, but my main thing has been shooters. But yeah, I just over the past 20 some years, it's been up and down with I'll play this or I'll play that, but shooters is
still
where
haven't
it's at.
found a game like your first love, huh?
No, I definitely haven't. I mean, Rainbow Six Siege had its time in the sun for me this past year.
Yeah, but
nothing will ever touch me, like get me like Quake.
I get you. Like nothing will ever touch my memories with Quake.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, I mean, you got so much backstory there, the school and just being new to the internet and stuff. So that's cool. We're gonna jump into your username story here. Is there any story behind the origins of effing Flocci?
Yes, as a matter of fact, and I'm glad that you asked.
Well, great.
All right. So, back in 1996, whenever I originally started playing, I didn't know what to pick, right? I had no idea. Like, usernames were, what is this even? Now we can be anybody that we want. So back then, I was really big into, and I still am really big into music, right?
Yeah.
But at that time, bass competitions and bass tournaments where people would build like custom subwoofer boxes and try to blow their their windows out and things like that.
Yeah.
I was really into that. For some reason, that really sucked me in. And there was a team called Bass Mechanic, and I thought that was a super awesome name, and nobody had ever heard of it. And I was 15 or 16 or whatever. I was like, that's a cool name. I'm going to stick with Bass Mechanic. And so I used that. And shortly after, I ended up adding DJ in front of it. So for a little over 20 years, I was DJ Bass Mechanic in everything.
Wow.
Then
DJ Bass Mechanic.
DJ Bass Mechanic. That's correct. Well, then I would say in November of 2018, I decided I had been considering streaming for quite a long time, right? And I thought, well, I want to reinvent myself. I want to not reinvent myself, but I need something completely different or something. I don't know. I don't know what it was in my head exactly, but I decided I was going to go with a change.
Yeah.
And so I decided I was going to start looking for something that was different, something that nobody used, something that probably people didn't know what it was, and would have prompt people to ask me like, well, what is that even? And so here we are. So I was looking up words that were the least used ever in the English language, and Flossie is short for Flossa Nossa Nilla Hillipilification.
Really?
Yes.
I thought it was like Flossie, like Flossin or something.
No, it is the longest non-medical or technical term in the English language. It is also one of the top 5 most unused words of all time, from what I understand. It's
Wow.
a mid 18th century combination of words. It's Latin, and basically, there's a couple meanings to it, but the meaning that I take from it is to be underestimated. So obviously, having flossinosinilahilipilification, which is like 80,000 letters long, that doesn't fit into
Yeah.
any game.
You just think somebody would be like, I'm underestimated, man. And they're
Yes.
like, well, it's Flossipella Flivolo.
So I had to find a way to shorten it.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what I was going to do. And I thought, well, I'm not changing. I'm sticking with this. I like it. Well, Flossie sounds kind of cool. Flossie. Yeah, I like how that sounds. We'll go with Flossie. All right. Put a new name on Twitch. Put a new name on Twitter. Flossie's taken? What? Okay. Well, let's see here. F is the first letter. N is the last letter. We'll just go FN_Flossie. Wait, that sounds it's F and Flossie. I curved back my swearing. I curved back, this, that, and the other. It's F and Flossie. So now it just flows, and that's how people know me.
Wow, that's a really cool username story. So, you're one of those guys who went to the dictionary, but I like the story behind it. Like, I've never heard of that name, and I probably wouldn't have ever heard of it because it's top
Right?
5 never used. So,
Yeah.
gotta love the 18th century cats for keeping it fresh.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, great story. So, I wanted to. It's kind of tough base to switch on, but so we know now that you've been sober for about like a little bit over 3 years. Is there any advice that you could give to anyone about the benefits of living clean?
Well, yeah, absolutely. So today is 1,127 days. And even though it's been a little over 3 years, I still take things one day at a time, because somebody that has a week or somebody that has a year or 10 years, we all have the same amount of time. And that amount of time is right now and today.
Right.
And that's a very important thing to remember. I remember when I first started, when I decided that it was time for me to get clean, right? That I would be around people that were going to have all these years of sobriety. And in my head, I thought, I've got 2 days, or I've got a week, or whatever. That's nothing. No, that's a lot. We all have the same amount of time. One day, today, right now. So once I got past that, and I started to realize that, I feel better. I look better. Well, people were telling me I look better.
Right.
I act better. I sound better. I'm getting more done. I'm more productive. I'm more friendly. I'm a pleasure to be around. Things that I'd never really cared or thought about, right? Some of those benefits right there, that just, like, you have to work for these things. They don't just happen. And somebody that's been, for me, I wasn't sober for more than half of my life.
Right.
That's a long time. So like I said, I'm 38, right? And like I started, not to get all into the history of everything, but I started when I was around 9 years old. So most of my life has been just kind of whatever. And looking back at all of those things, and the things that I do remember, the things that really stick with me, a lot of things that I missed, or I know things could have went better or been better, are happening now, just naturally, without me having to worry or be concerned, because I don't know. I don't have anything like that to be worried or concerned about. Like, oh, well, am I going to be able to hurry up and drink before this? Or am I going to get out of here in time to go and drink? Am I going to be able to do this or do that? Is so-and-so going to know?
Right.
I don't have to worry about any of that anymore.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is, during a lot of that time, I didn't care. I didn't really worry. Subconsciously, I don't think I really cared. But now, being more level-headed and clear mind, I feel really guilty and bad about a lot of that. And I can say I'm sorry to somebody a million times, or we can say we're sorry to somebody a million times, but I think whenever actions absolutely speak louder than words, and getting clean and saying, hey, I'm sober now, that's great, but what else? People, I don't want to say people expect certain things of you, but when they notice certain things, like I said, you're acting better, you're getting more done, you're a more productive person, you're nicer. People really appreciate that. And I'm not saying that people didn't like me before, or people had certain feelings towards me before, but I would have to say that a lot of those feelings have shifted for the better.
Yeah.
And that's awesome, and it feels really good. You have more money, you eat better,
Yeah.
you have more time. There's so many benefits to living clean. And I mean, obviously, I'm not going to tell people that you shouldn't drink. By all means, if you don't have a problem, then there's a difference.
Yeah.
But if you or somebody that questions it, or might have some kind of concern, I'm just going to say it flat out. Don't be afraid to reach out to that person, because just because that person doesn't say that they need help or that they want help, they might be silently screaming inside that they need help. And nobody ever said that. Nobody ever really knew with me, and which was crazy, because I thought everybody knew. I thought I was like everybody else. Oh, well, they drink after work and they go to parties all the time. What am I doing wrong?
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that I would have loved to have had somebody reach out, but I think it would have helped me, and I could have potentially shaved a few years of my years of use and abuse, right?
Yeah.
By a lot. So,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, the benefits are amazing. I've met the communities and the circles of friends and people that I've met through different meetings and things of that nature have been absolutely phenomenal. These people are incredible. Even if they're the most welcoming people I think I've ever met in my entire life. Even if you slip, thankfully for me, ever since I decided to get clean, I have not had a slip. Not once, not one time have I picked up or anything since I started, which is, I'm very proud of that, and I'm very determined to continue that way. But
Yeah.
if I was to slip, and I went back to that community of people, or I went and said something to anybody in that community, or any of the friends I've made, they're not going to be mad at me, because we're human beings and we make mistakes. They want to see us all do better. And there are a lot of people that do slip up, and it happens. And it is not something to completely, get yourself down on or anything of that nature. But um, having a community that is there for you and ready to help you when you fall, instead of kicking you while you're down, that's not something that you get when you're out with your drinking buddies, every weekend. Those people, they disappear generally. They are there for one thing. They're not exactly always there to see you do better. I mean, yeah, we all talk a lot of stuff about, well, I want, it's great. Hey, hanging out with people is fun. Hanging out with people is great. And I'm not putting any of that down. I hope that doesn't sound that way, but it's amazing to have some of the things that I have now that I didn't have before. And my health is probably one of the biggest things that I'm
It's
very
probably
thankful
the
for.
most valuable thing, I think, is health.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, you got to take care of it. You don't take care of it, and, I mean, that's your life.
Absolutely.
I've learned to value health a lot. I mean, obviously, I can't say I know exactly what you're going through. I know I struggled with addiction for a while, and it took everything in me to overcome it. And you kind of get this desperation about it, like you just have to get through it, and you're tired of it, and you're gonna do whatever it takes to get to the other side. But one of the things that I've noticed about sobriety too is it brings this certain level of clarity to life too. Like you can just see
Absolutely.
things a lot more clearer, and like you understand things. There's just a lot of clarity, and but thanks for the advice, my dude.
For
And
sure.
Yeah.
And you know what else is? You know what else? Speaking on addiction, you know what? Not all addiction is bad. You know what? One of my biggest addictions right now, other than hot sauce, obviously, is my one of my biggest addictions right now is seeing other people do well.
Really?
Whenever I'm able to help somebody that's struggling with alcohol or drugs or whatever it is, whatever it is that they're struggling with, if I'm able to help them or touch their life in any way, just even the slightest, that helps me get through my day even more. That is addicting right there. And I absolutely love it. And I strive every single day to be better than I was yesterday, if it's at all possible. And I
Mm,
strive every single day
let's go.
uh, to make somebody else's day.
Yeah.
Um, there's too much negativity in the world, and to have that one person that says hi to you, or hey, how can I help you today, or hey, I have an ear. I know it might not be much, but I'm here to listen. Just that little bit might make that person's day, and that makes my day.
Right. And 100%, man. I love it. I love it because like any small thing you do, it's like when people say a random act of kindness changes the world. You know what I mean? But you really like pay it forward to somebody, and it just that person pays it forward, and it just really has a trickling effect. You know. I definitely agree with you 100%. But I agree. Like it's kind of like those people that say, "Well, if I'm gonna do the, okay, hold up. This is what I used to say. I used to say, if I'm gonna be crazy, I'm gonna be crazy in a good way. You know what I mean? So you're gonna like,
Yes.
well, if I'm gonna be an addict, I'm gonna be an addict to good things. You know?
Yep.
So, well, great. Thanks, man. Thanks for the wise words, and what better person to hear from than somebody who's been through it and lived it. So, uh, what compelled you to be a streamer?
So throughout the years, I have always kind of found myself entertaining in some way, right? Even if it was just a slight bit, like silly dad jokes or, really lame jokes. It was just enough to maybe put somebody in a better mood or make them smirk or snicker or whatever,
Right.
right? And then there's sometimes where it was just, I don't know, I could make people laugh uncontrollably with how silly or ridiculous something was. I could take things and just and take it way out of proportion, but keep it still on subject, and people would, I don't know, they would just love it, right?
Yeah.
So off and on throughout my years, I would either bartend or wait tables, and basically you're a salesperson, but you're also an entertainer.
Yeah.
And yeah, to be successful at it, it's not just, hi, can I take your order? Here's your food. Here's your check. See you later. Come back next time. Um, you want repeat business, and you want repeat customers, not even customers, clients, however you want to call them, right?
Right.
Um, you want people to come back to you, and you want them to enjoy spending time with you, not just there for a meal. They come back as an example, right? So I wanted to stream because I love video games. I have loved gaming, obviously, since the 80s, and have seen a lot of different trends and a lot of different people and a lot of different things come in and out. And then I found out about Twitch, and I thought, wow, this is really awesome. Because, and I kid you not, when we started out with the internet and how it was back in the late 90s, when we were doing our high school LAN parties in school, I thought, this would be awesome if we could find a way to project this to like my buddy over in another state who
Wow.
also plays.
That's
and
neat.
and some other friends were like, well, we could just record it somehow maybe, and we'll stream it, like we'll try to put it up on, or not stream it, we'll upload it to like MIRC or we'll find a way, right? And so we would find ways to record it, and we just thought, man, there's got to be a better way to do this, right? Obviously we had like VHS cameras back then, right? Or digital camcorders, and that's not going to work. You can't, it's like taking a picture of your tablet or your computer screen with your phone. It just doesn't look good. And then we graduated high school in '99, and we all went about our ways. And then so let's go back a couple years. I thought about starting up with Twitch, but I was so involved with my work at the time. Before I got laid off, I worked 10, 12, 14 hours. It just wasn't going to happen. Well, work started to slow down. I was really heavily involved with Rainbow Six Siege, and somewhat involved with Quake Live at the time. And I thought, well, I don't know, let's give this a shot. So before I even hit the start streaming button on OBS, I spent, I would say, 4 months straight just watching streams, really, really popular streamers, not so popular streamers, in between streamers. I would watch hours and hours and hours of how OBS works, how Slobs works, how does Twitch work, how does Mixer work, how does, or whatever.
Right.
And then I would spend more time watching, I guess you could call them like these streaming coaches or whatever, where they would say, well, this is what new people should do, and this is mistakes that new people make, and this is how you want to do this, and this is how you want to do that. So I spent a lot of time, months, I tell you, months just watching and listening, and obviously everybody has
You're a
their own way of
sponge, aren't
doing.
you? Like you soak in information when you're going after something, huh?
I try to go in as informed as possible.
Yeah.
Now we all make mistakes and we all have our opinions. And just because if you have 3 plans, A, B, and C, and 90% of the people use plan A, that doesn't mean plan A is going to work for the other 10%. So I try to take what people did here and what those people did over there, and then what these people did, and try to incorporate, well, are any of those going to work for me? And obviously when you hit the start streaming button, all of that goes out the window because you just kind of start doing your thing. But I at least wanted to have some kind of be informed in some way, shape, or form.
Right.
And being somewhat decent at some video games and being somewhat entertaining makes, I think, for somewhat of decent content. And I try to ask myself every time I stream, what is it that people, what would I want to see? What do I remember from all those days and weeks and hours of watching other people, and what did I like about them, and how can I incorporate that without like blatantly ripping them off? And so when I finally decided that it was time, and I got the name change, and I oh, now there's Spellbreak, holy crap, like I didn't even know what to do. I was spending so much time with Spellbreak, and I just got laid off of work, and I mean there was so many things going on.
Yeah.
Like I literally everything Twitch wise, it was just kind of like, I don't even know what I'm gonna do. I don't know what I want to do right now. But I kept pursuing it, and I had some fun at the beginning. I really, even though I studied it as much as I did, I still feel. I mean, I still don't feel like I know exactly what I'm doing. I don't know if anybody does, right? But I was just completely blown away by how awesome and great certain communities were, and how helpful a lot of people were, and it made it a lot easier. And I know, I guess here we are today now, a couple, what is it, 6 months, 7, 8 months down the road.
Yeah.
And things are going, fairly well.
Yeah. So, do you have any other hobbies besides gaming?
Yeah, I do. I used to, for quite a few years, I would cycle almost daily.
Right.
I was actually just talking about this a little bit ago. I used to cycle 5,000 miles a year. Now, I know that sounds like a lot, but it's only, if you break it down, it's roughly 13 miles a day, which isn't super difficult if you live somewhere that's more bike friendly and you have the time. And I did have the time for quite a while, where I could cycle to work, because I lived right by one of the trails here in Pittsburgh, right? And it was just easy. And then there was days where I didn't work and I had nothing else going on. I didn't feel like gaming that day. I didn't feel like reading a book. I didn't feel like doing anything else. I just went for, a 50, 60-mile ride,
Oh my gosh.
which would turn into a 100-mile ride.
Just
And
go cross country. I just think of like Forrest Gump, and you have this like grizzly
my.
beard all over you, and you're just. If I was going anywhere, I was biking.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I did. I cycled a lot of different places,
That's
and
dope.
traveling is obviously something that a lot of people want to do but aren't able to do, and it's not something I was really able to do a lot of. But I would hop on a trail, and I'd have 3 days or whatever, and I'd just pack up some stuff, and hey, there we go. We got a tree to sleep next to. I'm good to go. Let's tie our bikes off, and my buddies and I would just sleep, or we'd tent, or sleeping back, whatever.
Isn't it
Ride
great
another
to get
day.
out in nature?
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
And I do love it. I love hiking. I love cycling. I love mountain climbing or rock climbing. I want to go skydiving. I've wanted to go
Oh my
skydiving
gosh.
for over 20 years. Yeah, and then
Yeah.
Obviously, any of my hobbies are going to include anything that my daughter wants to do, whether it's sports or other outdoor activities, or even if she's, I'm going to tell you right now, if you've never played ultimate frisbee or you've never really gotten into frisbee throwing, it's so fun. It might seem simple, but it's very, very fun, and I absolutely love ultimate frisbee.
So if money wasn't an issue, what would you be doing every day?
If money wasn't an issue, what would I be doing every single day?
Yeah.
That's a really tough question. Well, I probably would be streaming part of my day, but the other part of my day, I would be out there trying to help others in ways that I do now, but in on a bigger scale, whether it would be helping other addicts or alcoholics, or
Right.
in any way, shape, or form, I would I would be out there helping other people. Just, I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to say I would be like Mr. Beast and go, "Hey, how's your day going?" And by the answer, they get 10 grand or something. I'm
Yeah.
not saying I would do that. That'd be
That
awesome.
would be
But
awesome. I
but I definitely would. I would definitely be finding a way to help other people better themselves, whether it be financially or mentally or physically or something of that nature. A long time back, I charity type stuff, right? I enjoy doing. I used to enjoy it a lot when I had the time and the resources to do so. I would try to do like head shaving events for St. Baldrick's and St. Jude's, which are facilities for cancer research for children.
right.
And I really enjoyed things like that. It was to be a part of something like that, just absolutely makes my day, and it's great to see the smiles on other people's faces, and just that
100%.
people care, and
Hmm.
how happy they get and things like that. So other than that, that's probably what I would be doing.
That's dope, man.
Or
It's very
or
rewarding. Was that?
or I would be researching a way to get even hotter sauces on the market.
That's what I think. That's what the people want to hear. But yeah, helping people, it's very rewarding. But I could definitely see you just like in some laboratory, like just blowing bubbles and just putting toes of Satan's and all kinds of
Yeah,
stuff together, just seeing what comes out.
yeah. Try to break the Scoville scale.
Yeah, just something that just annihilates someone's tongue, just sets it literally on ablaze. Yeah. Hi, this is Ray GotSoL. If you're enjoying the podcast, feel free to leave a review. Reviews help the show immensely and are greatly appreciated. Also, don't forget to follow the podcast if you'd like to receive more content. Thanks again, and back to the show. Well, we're going to transition back into Spellbreak. We're going to talk about the current state of the game. So how do you feel the current state of the game is at this point?
Overall, I feel it's really good, even though some numbers have been down as far as, and I could be wrong, but I mean, I think I play often enough that I can see that some of the lobbies have been a little bit smaller at times, which is a little bit unfortunate. But once again, we're here in an alpha stage. We're testing a game. We're providing feedback for something that we love, and I think seeing lower numbers has kind of put certain people their mindset down, and they're playing less. Well, if no one else is playing, I'm not going to play, and that's a horrible mindset to have. If you sit there and wait, like there's things you can do while you're waiting, but that's neither here nor there. But I think overall the state of the game is really good. There's been a lot of crazy changes, and when a game is in development, there's nothing set in stone. And
Right.
I feel like there's some folks that maybe haven't been through an alpha state of a game before, and are expecting crazy results and a polished finished
Yeah, like
game
closer to a
right off
finished
the bat.
product.
Right. Even though Spellbreak looks amazing, plays amazing, I think we have we have a really solid development team
Yeah.
here at Proletariat, or over at Proletariat, right? And I think they know what they're doing, and I think that people, as long as everyone has an open mind and they're willing to try some changes and see things differently, I think that the state of the game is only going to go up, like for the better.
100%, dude. I haven't noticed the lobbies, but I definitely trust where you're coming from on that one. How do you feel about patch 26 overall?
So patch 20,
It wasn't one of the
patch,
bigger patches. I know they
no.
made some small changes, but
Let's see. That was they called it Homecoming, right? Didn't they? So we had the final circle. I'm gonna start with the final circle. The final circle being able to appear in other places is great. Um, Having a battle in Halcyon, Fort Halcyon, every time
yeah,
or 9 times out of 10 was just kind of okay, here we go again. All right, and we knew that there was issues with Fort Halcyon, and it was whoever had the less frame stutters or whatever.
I haven't heard that, but that's such a good point. Like, let's end it on the worst like FPS part of the map.
Right, and people would just drop there,
Yeah,
and like camp out kind of, and just wait, and then, you know, I don't know. I never would drop Fort Halcyon, but
yeah,
I think the change to the final circle is fantastic, because now it's not just on a castle. Now it can be in the middle of a field, or it can be part on a mountain, or it can be part like Hope's End, where it's all broken up, and
yeah,
dash might not be the best thing for you. So I think that was a huge change.
yeah.
Just that alone changed the game in a positive way. Um, as far as like, so they vaulted the survivor items, right?
Yeah, that's
And
right.
that
And they
was
got the Mender in now.
yeah, and I think what's going on here, and I could be wrong. I probably am wrong, but I think what's going on here is we might see like rotations of things, and it'll change things up. Every so many months, or however, whenever they change, however games rotate things out. But I also think that the changes that we've seen and the changes that could potentially be coming, I think some of these changes are kind of like geared maybe a little bit towards those changes, and we just don't know what they are yet. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, they like it's kind of like Fortnite. They vaulted the Survivor. I know they talked about it in the patch that they are going to be rotating inventory in and out.
Yeah, yeah. So then we have like movement, right? And that's a huge topic. And
Mm-hmm.
for me, it hasn't really changed. It hasn't bothered me much because of how I move around, and how I have always moved around in games where, I'm constantly mouse looking. I'm not backpedaling exactly the same way as other people do.
Right.
But overall speed, I've actually finally started to notice a difference in how fast or how slow we are. And with the change to where movement doesn't happen right away, how it kind of ramps up like you do in real life. You don't start out at full sprint in real life. And I know this isn't a real life realistic game, but that ramping up, that's made a significant difference. Like, you don't just get out of the way now. Now it's I have to start getting out of the way and predicting things,
Yeah.
or else I'm gonna get hit. So the changes to the speed has been, it's been quite a roller coaster. But I think right now we're kind of in a little bit of a rough spot with it, but it's getting better. Overall, I think it's getting better.
Right.
Other than that, overall the patch hasn't been super bad. I know they removed mouse smoothing, which was really good. Um, so for someone like me that plays with a higher sensitivity or higher DPI generally, I've noticed, like I make a lot of quick movements, quick short movements. I literally don't need a mouse pad. I need a 6x6 napkin, and that's all the more that I move my mouse, right? So with the mouse smoothing off, I don't have to worry about it slowing down whenever I make a quick movement, and it doesn't take much to make that quick movement. So that was kind of a
Wow.
big deal. And I
Six
noticed a
by
lot of other
six napkin. That's nuts. I'm over here with like
yeah,
a 17 by 13 mouse pad,
right.
slamming my mouse. I'm new to PC though, by the way.
I
So
gotcha.
yeah.
I gotcha.
Go ahead. I'm
So
sorry.
That's all right. So I think the mouse smoothing fix was really good because it was making it a little bit difficult for like flick shots and stuff for some people. But for someone like me, it was definitely a good change. But I mean, optimizations continuing to come. That's great. I think the majority of people trying to play this game don't have a good enough PC or laptop even to run it better than decently.
Right.
And I think that with the continued optimizations that'll change.
Yeah.
So overall, I mean, I'm all right. I'm all right. The patch is all right. The grass is cool. The villages are cool. The little things like that make a big difference.
Yeah. So that goes into
The
my
game
next
is,
question. Sorry.
yeah.
What do you think sticks out the most about this patch?
The villages, the map changes to me are probably some of the biggest things. The grass and the villages.
Were you surprised to see some cosmetic changes?
Yeah, I was. There's certain there are certain things that I look at and I don't know. I guess they don't affect me quite as much. And as far as, so I'm colorblind, right? But I'm not like a regular color blindness where I just have trouble with like red and green or something like that. I'm a mixture of multiple color blindnesses, and it makes things extremely difficult for me to see things.
Wow.
And sometimes there might be a little tweak or a little change. I don't even notice it whatsoever. Or something will move, like the mana bar being moved, right? I sometimes don't even see it because it blends in. So,
Really?
but when I do see it, it really stands out, and what is this? Why is it covering up my character? So I think for me, certain changes don't bother me quite as much because I don't even really notice them. Sometimes. As far as how the UI has changed, and we have the health bar and health and armor up in the top and the top left.
Yeah.
I loved it. I loved it at the bottom. Everything
Yeah.
because
I'm with
like
you
I
on
said,
that.
I mouse look more than I'm actually looking around the screen as much. I mean, that's a me thing. That's a me problem. But that's how I do is I'm constantly looking around. I don't want to look around the screen for, oh, well, okay, the kill feed's up there. And then, oh, the thing's over there. Oh, no, the health and art. Okay, it's over there. And then they blend in and it's hard to see. But at the bottom, no matter what, like the colors that they were using, right? They were easy and they were for me to see, and they were in one spot. So that was like a really big thing whenever that started to move and change. And I know it's a work in progress. I know it's going to be changed here and there or there, however. But for right now, I go into a match and I put on armor, right, and I play through, and I don't even pay attention to how much health or armor I have or mana. I just kind of go. Because I struggle to, oh, I gotta look up here, I gotta look down here, I gotta look over there. Oh wait, where'd that person go? Now I lost them. I
It's a
can't
lot of
track them.
eye movement.
There is a lot, yeah.
And I was actually going to ask you this on the very next question, but how do you feel about the mana bar, or what do you think of the mana bar that appears mid-screen?
Yeah, if it was, I'm trying to think of another game, maybe Half-Life or something. I can't remember right off the top of my head, but if you look at certain games, how they have like half moon or crescent moon bars in the middle that'll show like how many bullets you have or how much health you have. I think something like that would be pretty cool. Somewhere around your crosshair. But
Oh,
I
like
don't
say
know.
we put a circle instead of a bar, put a circle with the mana
Yeah,
that goes around, you know what I mean? Something
yeah,
like
and
that?
something unobtrusive, something that is can be on a slider. You can make it where it's more or less transparent. Things like that. I think that would be really, really helpful because it's right there. People are looking that way. They're shooting from that direction or aiming from that direction or from that point of view.
Yeah.
I think that that would be I think that would be really cool to see something like that. Where it's at now, though, I like I said, I know it's a work in progress, but wow, no.
Really? I actually like it. And I thought it was going to be so annoying. So you kind of took where I was feeling to start off.
Mhm.
But I actually like it because I actually look at the mana bar a lot more now, and I
Mhm.
use it a lot more. I'm in the mindset like, well, put the health bars back at the bottom and leave the mana bar there.
Mm.
But yeah, I like your suggestion though about like maybe a less intrusive, like maybe like a circular bar or something.
Something, yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're testing, so I definitely got to leave feedback on that. I haven't been doing a
Like
good job of leaving feedback at the site.
it happens.
Yeah.
I count things in my head too. I think a little bit of like my OCD comes into play. So
Yeah.
if I have a particular gauntlet, I know I have 5 shots with it. Or if I have a particular amulet, okay, now I have 9 shots with it. And I try to keep that in my head while I'm going at it. And it's just an added like level of intricacy with, oh well, I got to remember this and that and look here, and it just makes it more. And
Yeah.
that's another thing. That's another thing with like the UI. I want less. We have all this stuff on our screen now, right? We have
Yeah.
we have these little bars
It's
that pop
true.
up above your enemy. I don't even look at that. I just hit them until they're gone. Um, I can't see that tiny little. I've kind of poor vision even with corrective. I can't see that. I don't know that they have pyro. I'm not looking at that. I'm looking at, are they still attacking me or not? Is what I'm looking at.
Right.
So, and I think I've always been that way, regardless. And a lot of games that I've played, there is nothing that tells you how much help they have or don't. You go at it until one of you win.
Yeah, I can't
Um,
remember who I was talking to, but they suggested like having the option to have the UI.
yes,
So that way, for the
yes,
people that do like it, because for example, I do use the bar when I hit somebody.
right.
I do use the mana bar. I think I'm not sure if the bar is actually the way to go, like your suggestion. But
Mhm.
having the option to turn the UI off, like maybe individually or altogether, would probably be the best bet. Because it's definitely good to hear your perspective because it's good to get an idea of how other people feel and get different perspectives. So
Customizable UIs are amazing, and
yeah.
I know it might not be the best example, but if you look at PUBG Mobile,
Mm-hmm.
you can put anything you want anywhere, and it's great. It's absolutely fantastic. And I know it's mobile games, whatever, but I think that's a really good idea, and not just in that game, but it's just one that comes to my mind.
Has desktop
Is
done that yet? Like the customizable UI? Because I know mobile games do that. Fortnite does the same thing a little bit, and I know
Mhm.
PUBG does.
I can't remember of any off the top of my head that allow you to completely change how your UI is, but
That'd be dope if we could have it, though, wouldn't it?
oh, for sure, for sure. Why not be a trend? I mean, Spellbreak is already a trendsetter,
Oh yeah,
in my opinion. I've been gaming as long as I have. There's never really been a game like this.
yeah.
So
So, what do you think of the new villages?
they're awesome. I think they're great. I think they're really good. I wouldn't want to be caught in one when there's two people throwing dragonfire
I
at me,
know.
but
Yeah, 100%.
that's where, like, okay, well, everyone laughing at Featherfall isn't laughing now because I can get out of that building real quick.
Oh,
So,
that's a good application.
I try to look at things like, okay, well, how can I get in and out of here? How can I what not just, oh well, Featherfall is going to throw me in the air and now somebody's going to snipe me or lightning me to death. That's not how I look at it, because if you're using an item in a certain way, that's going to get you exiled. But if you look at the benefits and other ways, there's always multiple ways to use and analyze something. And I think this goes back to when we were talking about Tempest. People were like, oh well, Tempest will throw you up in the air for a tornado. Yeah, that's great. But you know what else it can do? A lot of damage. And oh, you can gain mana too, so you can do more damage if you miss like me, or you get more shots if you miss like me. So if you analyze something and you look at it one way, like Featherfall, it just puts you in the air. No, that's bad. You have to think of other things, like that you can do with one. But the villages are great. I've had maybe two fights or two final circles that have ended there, and it was awesome. You finally had a place you could kind of hide behind and heal real quick. You had a place where you could explore, like get up on a building and not be completely like, oh, now I'm stuck in the middle of a castle. So it was I like it. I give it a 10.
Yeah, they can definitely feel like death traps sometimes, but there's plenty of more loot, and it adds that cosmetic feel that some of
Yep.
us have been really wanting, because the game can feel a little bit the same, going
Yep.
throughout it, similar castles, similar builds. I think the villages were we're very grateful for the new cosmetic,
Absolutely.
because I didn't see this one coming, so it was it felt like a gift, so to speak. So, how do you feel about the new queue times? That I know they just came out of nowhere this week, and they've kind of been experimenting with 90 seconds and now 2-minute 30.
Yeah,
Am I right?
I think so. It's nice. So it's a dual-edged sword, but I think it's more sharp on one side than it is on the other. So you have a map that can hold, let's say 50, maybe 60 people, all right? And we have 8 people on it.
I see where you're
We
going
have
with this. Yeah.
8 people on it. Yes, it's really good that we're getting into matches. We have people that will sit and wait. You know, they'll I'll jump into a match, off stream or whatever. I'll jump into a match, and then I'll wait. I'll either practice my aim while I'm waiting, if I know it's going to be a couple minutes, or I'll read something. I'll go study, I'll study up on, how to use this or that, and try to, I don't know. I try to use my time effectively, I guess, but that's beside the point here. I think the queue times are good. I think the queue times are really helpful, especially for new folks that, oh well, I don't want to wait, 5 minutes, and I get that. Nobody wants to wait all that time, even though there are games out now, even now that we play right now that have 100,000 people playing, and sometimes we still wait 3 or 4 minutes for a queue, for a queue. So I think it was a step in the right direction for right now until we get either closer to like beta or even to launch. Now,
Yeah.
will the time stick? I don't know, but I definitely think it's really helpful.
Yeah, and they're kind of experimenting with it right now. Because I know the 90 seconds was a little bit too fast. We'd get,
Yeah,
12, 16 player lobbies in the evening when it was most
yeah,
populated. But one thing I liked about it, it felt kind of like it was like a rudimentary form of matchmaking, because you wouldn't get these stacked lobbies of really great players. They were
yeah,
very spread out, you know?
yep.
So that was kind of fun. It definitely was a lot easier to win. And I imagine that there was going to be a lot more obscene amount of wins for the week, but the next day they did switch it. I think it's 2:30 now. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. But the other nice thing about it is, so let's say these new players, they get in and it's a 30 or 40 person lobby. You're brand new, you just started playing. You drop you get exiled. Now you get back to the lobby instead of spectating, which was one of the other good things that new people should do, is spectate people.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
so instead of spectating, they jump back to the lobby, and then they wait and wait and wait and wait, right? That their playtime was extremely minimal. They didn't know that they shouldn't hot drop or hot drop. They didn't even know if they were hot dropping, right?
Yeah.
So if you have 8 people, you have a very higher chance of not hot dropping on accident, and you have a much better chance of surviving longer, getting to check out more gear, getting to traverse more of the map, getting more playtime in. Whether you're actually in combat or not, they're getting more time, more playtime in, and that's
Yeah.
good.
Mm-hmm. Such a great point too, because I mean, I didn't even think about that, but you have a better chance of winning too, and the
Yes, you do.
survivability actually, I think, helps them with confidence, you know.
Absolutely.
But yeah, we're definitely gonna have to monitor that as they keep experimenting with times.
Hmm.
How do you feel about the contrail for tracking?
So when I first saw that, I thought, "Oh, that's cute," right? How cool is that? You got this little magical trail following you around, and then I started to realize, well, you know what? That's not going to be so good for people that try to hide, because we can see where you're going. Oh, that means they can see where I'm going too. So I'm not the biggest fan of it. It doesn't help me a lot. There's very, very rare. I would say out of a hundred games since it came out, it maybe has helped me twice. Because number one, I personally don't see it as well as other people do, unless the landscape is, unless it completely doesn't blend in with the landscape, which happens to me a lot, right?
Right.
Uh, but the times that it has happened to me, I felt so bad for those people. I really did. They just didn't have a chance. There was no chance to hide or heal or anything because I knew exactly where you went. Um, I, I know I get it when we have a trail for dash and spring step and blink. I get it. That's different. We're moving at a fast rate, extremely fast rate, right? When you blink, you're literally like boom, and you're
Yeah.
in another spot. Where did they go? Oh, just follow that little trail. But we're running or walking I guess we sprint by default. So you're running and there's no getting rid of it unless you crouch or you go invisible. So it's almost like there's no getting away. And while it's cool, I don't think I have to give it a thumbs down.
Yeah, I mean, we understand what's going on here. It's definitely to help with tracking, but it definitely feels like it takes out that stealthiness, like I mentioned in another show.
Yeah,
I mean, there's really no place to hide if somebody's chasing you, because when you're low and somebody's got the toxic slap going at you and you're running around corners and they know exactly where you are, it gets a little bit frustrating, but.
for sure.
Yeah, so do you have any ideas for new classes or gauntlets that you'd like to share?
And that's another really good question. And so if we've stuck with like elements, what other elements do we have? We kind of really don't. I mean, other than water, right? So which we kind of have with frost or ice, but for the most part, we've got all the elements covered, I guess. Um, Other than that, I don't know, something like uh, an undead or a dark, or I know a lot of people say like light and dark type gauntlets, right? I think something like that, but I haven't really put a whole lot of thought into that. And the things that I have thought of are the same, are very similar to what other people have thought of. And I know Ghosty, as a matter of fact, had his vegetable or his celery stick or whatever, the plant one or whatever he called it, where it would act like a grappling hook of some sort. And I think that would be really helpful. But would it be too much? Would it fit the game? Would it fit the play style? Um, I know there's a character in Apex Legends that has it.
Yeah,
And I know that in Ring of Elysium, it's one of the things that you can have a grappling hook, but uh, and it's really helpful. It would be really handy to be a little bit more mobile, especially if like our ground-based movement speeds are going to be what they are.
dude, that
Um,
is such a good
so
idea because I was thinking while we were chatting, I was like, wouldn't it be nice to have a little bit more mobility? Because
yeah,
some of the runes feel a little bit useless. You know, like Wolf's Blood, it's got its niche, I
hmm
guess, in certain situations. Teleport has its niche in certain situations, it's rarely used. But like more mobility runes, like would that'd be like a rune, right? Like a grappling rune.
it could be a rune, or it could be a gauntlet. It could even be a gauntlet.
Oh, okay,
Where
okay.
um, where you attach it to you have it on your left hand, right? And you
Yeah.
you grapple onto the side of a mountain, and then as you're grappling up, you have your right hand to fire, and uh you shoot your fireball at somebody,
Dude,
and
that is so
so
good.
I think something like that would be really awesome. And the
Yeah.
only other thing that I can really add, or that I would love to see, and I know the people I've talked to about this have there's a lot of mixed feelings about a healing gauntlet of some sort, whether it be a gauntlet that only heals you or somehow heals your nearby teammates. So as you're doing damage to that person, you do reduced damage, but would help like lifesteal or regain health in some way, or
Like
I
a
don't know if
mender
it was
class, perhaps.
yeah yeah a mender gauntlet. There you go. I don't know what else to call it, but
Yeah.
I think something like that would be super, super handy or super helpful, especially in a game where, like I said earlier, you can get two shot, three shot by somebody if they build right, and you don't really have a lot of time to heal. Now, is something like transference or the mender thing where you're regaining armor or whatever. Yes, that's amazing, but that's a very small percentage. And if that person continues to deal damage to you and more than you do to them, for instance, you're just prolonging your own exile.
Right.
So I think a healing gauntlet of some sort would be great. I also would like to, now that I'm thinking about it, I also would like to see something like a block or a shield, or just if you have quick enough reflexes, or if you're picking up your teammate, you could throw this shield up for like 2.5 seconds or 1.7 seconds or something, whatever. Just so that you have that extra little bit of time to pick up your teammate, or that extra second to get that heal on, or oh, your blink's on cooldown, or your feather falls on cooldown. Whoop, there's your shield. What kind of attack would it do?
See,
I
and
have
that's
no
why
idea.
some people have mentioned instead of having a boulder throw, which can be that can actually be OP sometimes, especially when you have Amulet of Scribe DB builds. It's fun. It's fun. We get that, but like
Right.
instead of having a boulder throw, have like a stone wall that appears up. Like, I mean, I don't know how you feel about getting rid of boulder throw. It's really fun, but
Yeah.
that's just an idea that's floating around that kind of
Right.
would have that same utility that you're talking about.
Or you could have alternate modes. Like I'll give you a for instance. You could take the Frost Gauntlet instead of it being a long range snipe. Well, if you're up close, it shoots particles of frost and ice and temporarily blinds the person.
That's
Something like that.
cool, dude. You have some really great ideas, man.
Just altering what we already have in
Yeah.
some way, even if it's slight. I mean, you look at your shooters. You have a DMR, you have a fully automatic, you have a burst, things like that. Why don't we have something somewhat similar? Now, I'm not saying let's make Spellbreak like every other game, because it's we all want something different.
Yeah, and it
But
deserves that too with the unique combat mechanics and everything.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
So, speaking about that, what do you think about the potential of the game?
The potential is, man, it's.
It
I don't want to say the sky's the limit. I want to say like the ends of space is the limit. There's incredible what they've done so far, and
Yeah.
it's been incredible what they're doing. And I think with the minds that they have and the minds that are in the community, I thought, man, I think this could be absolutely huge.
Really,
Absolutely huge. Yeah. It's visually appealing.
right?
It's super fun to play. The community is super awesome, right?
Mm-hmm.
All these things combined, and the developers are amazing. So you combine all these things, and it's just the perfect recipe. It just needs to get there. And I think once it does get there, it's gonna explode.
It's very exciting to think about. Like, I'm not gonna lie, for me, I have no idea what to expect from this game. I have no indication. I have no idea where to stand or place my feet. I mean, I think it can be huge, and I think it's got a high floor. Yeah, it's definitely gonna be interesting. So I love asking people to see what they think, and but
And don't forget, they're just using battle royale right now.
yeah,
There's so many other things and they plan on, and they've said that they plan on using other game modes or incorporating other game modes. So who knows? Who knows?
yeah, it's very exciting to think about. Definitely. So how's life been in the Spellbreak community? I think you touched base on a little bit a little while ago, but
Overall, I think it's fantastic. Me personally, I've met some really awesome people in this community that will go way out of their way to help anybody at any time.
yeah,
Um, and it's been awesome. It's obviously, I'm not going to say that it's perfect because nothing's perfect, number one. But as far as like toxicity goes, I think we've seen some, but it's been on the minimal side, which is great. And if it continues to stay on the more positive and more friendly and more constructive criticism instead of uh, bashing on others, I think if we stay on the good side as we have, I think it'll continue to stay positive down the road.
right, and
Maybe not. Like I said, nothing's perfect, but I think it's headed in the right direction.
yeah, and I mean, coming from an outside perspective, I mean, thank you so much. You've been such a bright spot in the community too, and there's a lot of bright spots in the community, and it's kind of the inspiration for this show of people that are making positive impact. It's just there's just so many avenues to turn down and get that perspective. So yeah, just like to thank you for being such a bright spot, man, and being an example. You're a very positive person, so that's cool.
Well, thank you.
Yes, sir. So this is where we shout out to the developers. Is there anything, little note you'd like to? I'm sure you speak to them, but is there anything you'd like to say about the developers?
Man, just thank you. I can't say how much I appreciate the time, the effort, the all the work that's put in, all the thought that goes in, all the criticism and all the feedback, and however you want to call it or however you look at it. Like they've been super positive about a lot of things and the way that they go about things, and I feel like I'm on a very similar level with them in that aspect. I think that they look at things differently than a lot of people do. Like, sometimes somebody will say something super negative, but it'll turn into a super positive thing. And I think that's fantastic, and that's nice to have and nice to see. You have people like Gordon and Kristen that are just unbelievably awesome with the community and everything that they do. And then all the people that are behind the scenes that we don't even see or hear from, the art directors, which they just did their stream recently, or the people that do all the artwork and stuff. They're awesome. They're just absolutely awesome. And I can just say it a million times. I'm super thankful and super appreciative to be a part of something like this.
Yeah, and it kind of goes into the Spellbreak community too. I mean, I think it really reflects the leadership of the devs.
Absolutely,
they do an amazing job.
We have a lot of people that come from League of Legends. We have people that come from Rainbow Six Siege. We have people that come from other communities or other games where you hear that community and you think of, oh my God, how toxic that is, right?
Yeah.
Or the people that play or whatever. And then it's like a complete breath of fresh air with Proletariat and Spellbreak.
Yeah, I think Kalnor Keyboards were saying that, but they mentioned how this game, the community is so diverse, so many different genres just coming under together and just like melting pot, which is Spellbreak. So it's definitely a great platform to meet all kinds of people from different walks of life and different gaming avenues. So
absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to transition into the Soul Seed segment. It's the part of the show where we ask 21 rapid fire questions while you, the guest, answers them as fast as you can. There's only one rule. Questions must be answered. So let's have some soulful fun. You ready, my man?
All right.
All right. Coffee or energy drink?
Black coffee. Wow.
Favorite snack when streaming?
Water.
I thought you were going to say something like spicy.
No. Yep. Ghost pepper peanuts. Tricked you.
I mean, that makes sense. Favorite gauntlet?
Toxic.
Okay. Just testing you. Favorite combo attack and spell?
Double boulder.
Okay. Favorite anime?
I don't watch anime.
Fair. You can only choose one or the other, Pyro or Frostborn.
Pyro.
If you could be any superhero, which would it be?
Batman.
Nice. That's a classic right there. Current favorite movie?
Boiler Room.
Oh, I don't think I've heard of that one. Blink or Dash?
Dash.
Nintendo or Sega?
Sega.
Favorite game of all time?
Quake.
Berserker or Behemoth Belt?
Berserker.
Most memorable gaming moment?
Finding out about Quake.
You're Batman, who's Robin?
Jeez. Wow.
I can give you two if you need to.
You're Robin.
I'm Robin. Player who gives you the most trouble in-game?
Currently? Oh, wow. Speary.
Speary. He's a nut. If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
Rewind Time.
Oh, that's dope. If
Chrono in real life.
Chrono, yeah. But longer than 4 seconds, though, right? If one gauntlet could be made IRL, which one would you want?
Frost.
Okay. Favorite color?
Black, white, and gray, because they're like the 3 that I can only see.
Oh, I'm sorry. I should have taken that one out. I'm sorry.
No, that's good. That's good.
Okay. The most underrated item in Spell. I'm sorry, dude.
No, it's good. Most underrated item in Spellbreak?
Yeah.
Slowfall boots.
I've heard of those. Never seen them. Maybe they'll make a comeback one day, but I know the devs said it wouldn't be like.
Mm-hmm.
Current favorite song?
Tornado of Souls by Megadeth.
Okay. Favorite spicy food?
Favorite spicy food?
Yeah.
Chili when I make it.
Well, okay, we got a tangent here. I gotta hear this. What is your chili?
So, I mean, I take your basic chili, right?
Yeah.
But I put actual Reaper peppers in it, actual ghost peppers in it. I have ghost pepper powder or Carolina Reaper powder, depending on how hot I want it to be. And then obviously I've got, Carolina Reaper sauces in it, or maybe even some 16 million pure chili extract that's absolutely going to melt your face off.
Oh my gosh, dude. If I ever get your chili, I might just have just sweat and have a heart attack. I don't think I'm built like that.
I'll tone it down. For you.
I'm still on jalapenos, dude. Like,
oh my gosh.
I'm still on jalapenos. I don't think I could do Ghost Reapers and Toes of Satans and
Work your way up to a habanero, man. It's a little bit warmer than a jalapeno. You can do it.
Okay. All right, man. That's it for the soul seat, brother. How'd you feel you did?
Good. That was fun.
Yeah, you ran right through that. You just trucked right through. That was good. Well, that's it for today's show, boys and girls. If you'd like to catch more of our guest, Flocci, you can watch him live on Twitch at twitch.tv/FN_Flocci, or you can follow him on Twitter at FN_Flocci. Once again, Flocci, thanks for sharing your soul with us, and until next time, salute. Any last words, Flocci?
Thanks, Ray. I really appreciate you having me, and for everyone out there, just keep on breaking.
That's right. See y'all in the HoloLens. Take care.
Later.